Hi everyone, my name is Bian and I am a computer science and economics major at UC Davis, and here's my project FundFlow, which is an interactive platform that shows the budget and expenditures by UC Davis and also has a public API that shows the data as well as a forecasting tool. So just quickly going over all the visualizations, we have the count of each student in each school, and then the research funding growth over the years. And then this is something that I want to talk a little more about. So I did a time series analysis on different variables. So I have the enrollment count, diversity index, etc. And I was able to use the single exponential smoothing technique that's used in economics to predict or forecast the future values. So here we are at the fiscal year 2023, but I was able to make forecasts on the next 3 years. And we see there's an increase generally on both the funding, the diversity, and the underrepresented minority proportion. And yeah, I was also able to do a correlation analysis. So between these variables, we see there's a high correlation. Of course, I have to note that correlation doesn't imply causation, but this is what we see from the data. And I was also able to derive the linear regression model, which shows that on average, the slope is like 20 million. So which means that on average, every year, the funding usually increases around 20 million. And there's also this p-value, which is significantly less than 0.05, which is usually the threshold. That shows the correlation between funding and diversity. Yeah, and the single exponential smoothing technique, I was able to use the formula which I've outlined here in this PDF. But essentially, yeah, I chose the smoothing factor as 0.5, and then there's also random variation component, which chooses from -15 to +15. All of that gets added to the previous trend to make the forecast. Here we have the breakdown of the endowment to each department or school. And interestingly, like if I select 2022 as a fiscal year, College of Environmental Sciences got the most endowment. And we see that there was actually a decline in the total endowment from 2021, like the year prior to 2022. And we're at 1.5 billion. If I go to 2023, there's something really interesting happening where the endowment in unassigned category increased by a multiplier of like around 15, like so 15x, which is pretty crazy and something that's really insightful from just looking at this visualization. Yeah, I just want to like quickly go over what the original like data set looks like. It's just like a plain table with the numbers. Obviously, it's really hard to see the trend. That's why this is really helpful for us to like recognize the patterns and etc. I was also able to calculate the per student ratio of funding in each college. We see that College of Biological Sciences has the least amount of funding per student, while Environmental Sciences has a lot. And then I was also able to compare this with the UC average, which is around $32,000. So this was taken from this official publication by the California State Office, and it's around 32,000 right here. Yeah, and then down here is where I'm able to see the expenditures and how it breaks down. One interesting thing I'll note here is that College of Letters and Science, I noticed it's really different from the top three, where the academic salaries and wages takes the majority, and then the operating expenses actually like almost a half of what the other colleges are spending. And another interesting thing is that College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, this is the only college where the expenditure is less than the endowment. The other colleges actually exceed the endowment amount, which means the money is coming from another source, which is really interesting thing, something that might be overlooked. But as a student, it's really good to like be informed about this stuff and just know where the money is coming from and where it's being spent. I also want to cover the public API component to it. So I was able to collect the data and put this into an API essentially. So I have like student population, which gives all the data, and then if I go to let's say like this one, I'll say like College of Engineering, and then I'm able to see the data in the past years. Yeah, so this tool really gives students the ability to see and understand what's going on with the money, and this is insights that wouldn't be possible just by looking at the table, and it really makes it accessible for everyone. Thank you.